Hi, Nicole. Thanks for getting together with me to pass the torch of resolving shoulder dystocia and breech basics. We're here today to share with the public that resolving shoulder dystocia and breech basics, which began in my little world, is now coming over to Nicole's, and we're inviting you to celebrate that with us. And here we go. Let's get that there. Now we have the flame transferred to you and Jamie and Rindy at ReStory Birthwork.
Yeah, no, I'm excited and it's an honor to be able to not just teach resolving shoulder dystocia or breech basics, but really continue the work that you've done of illustrating what's happening on the inside of the pelvis so that we can understand what's happening on the outside. I believe that both breech basics and resolving shoulder dystocia holds the key to birth from the inside out.
You're teaching all around the United States this coming year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward I'll be in Florida and Virginia and New York and Seattle this year.
And San Diego.
In San Diego, but yeah, I'm in San Diego a lot.
I'm so grateful that, th this concept and this understanding came to me. Resolving shoulder dystocia came to me, uh, and I started writing about it in 2004. And it really came out of my experience with how posterior babies rotate to anterior. And then I noticed that there were more shoulder dystocias after that long arc rotation, the long way from um, right occiput posterior over to one of the anterior positions for the baby to fit through the pelvis. And sometimes they'd leave their shoulder behind. And I started thinking about that. And then I noticed in the breech rotations, sometimes they leave their arm. They've had their arm up here. And as they come down and they rotate, sometimes the arm gets swept up. And um, you grab those concepts so readily. And I've been at a breech birth or two with you and have seen how you're able to use those spatial concepts to restore flexion and make the baby be able to find the space, help the baby to be able to find the space.
Part of knowing you, especially through the lens of breech, it's been such a big gift to me because I've had different access to information and
For different
understanding.
information to access.
Well, I think that especially in the early 2010s when we first met, um, a lot of the understanding about breech rotation was just being put together, right? Between Jane Evans and Frank Lowen, that
Yeah,
understanding was just there, and I felt like you were able to grasp that in a way and be able to verbalize that in a way that other people really weren't doing.
because I had been working on head down babies and shoulders, the posterior rotations and the shoulder rotations or lack of rotation. When Frank Leuven talked about the obstructed arm in a breech as being part of a rotational issue, boom, it just fit right in. It was just like dropping in a puzzle piece. We still have breech basics on the online courses at Spinning Babies.
We still
And
have Resolving Shoulder Dystocia on the online courses of
yeah.
CDs.
And this is a unique and yet the courses are now ReStory Birthworks courses,
Yeah.
but we're featuring them on our website for now, for sure. And then this is the place to understand the fetal rotation through the pelvic levels so that the maneuvers are not being done when the baby's, the wrong maneuver, the mismatched maneuver, because we've been taught an outlet maneuver, for instance, but the breech baby is stuck in the inlet. Or we've been taught an inlet maneuver for the shoulder, And yet this particular baby has an outlet dystocia with their shoulders, or the tailbone is curled up and hooking a shoulder, a number of ways.
I think this is part of the potential of these courses that you've started putting into action that I'm hoping to continue is that that differentiation, that that awareness in these acute moments in which we know we don't have a lot of time, but how do we do it in a kinder and gentler way um, for not just, the person who's giving birth, but for the baby.
Hmm. Understanding how the pelvis is so that the wisdom in the midwife, the wisdom in the baby, the person giving birth can be activated. The physiology has the ability, but it's up to us to facilitate. Is it happening? Is there something we can do?
I think that I've been teaching breech basics, here for some years, and I've been using breech basics as, oh, here, this is the basics. We're not going to cover these advanced topics because of time. And I've started to realize that these breech basics are actually the basics of midwifery, the craft of midwifery in general, right? Of this work that we do. Because as we
Hmm.
get to know the basics of the passageway, of how the baby makes these rotations, we also get to know that for head down babies, we get to know that we have these resources that can be applied not just to these emerging moments, but they can be applied to um, the baby that's attempting to engage.
Hmm.
They can be applied to a baby that's attempting to rotate, but having a difficult time for different reasons, right? That all of this knowledge kind of builds off of itself and can lead us back into the basics.
What I feel like I'm hearing you say is by teaching resolving shoulder dystocia and breech basics, we're talking about what you call merging moments, which are special births that need special observations and attentions and awareness. And then we backtrack that up and understand the pelvis so much better and baby's movement so much better that we can then apply it to head down babies and midwifery care, midwifery skills.
Yeah.
But head down babies, because I learned about shoulders and breech actually from learning about head down babies. So you can start there with spinning babies basic foundational workshop
Yeah.
and then take it to shoulders and then take it to breech. So you can come at it head down or you can go at it head up.
Yeah. And I think that's the fluency,
Yeah.
that fluency between the two. It just kind of helps grow our understanding of the basics,
Yeah.
which I think are underappreciated. I want to recognize your work, and
Mm.
I'm glad we're doing this. Partially so that people know that I'm teaching this class and that ReStory Birthwork is not just taking your work, but
Mm.
um, you know, appreciating you and inviting this work into midwifery and into the birthwork culture with respect to its lineage.
And when people hear you say, you know, that this is a transfer of the torch, the cradle of this work to you from me in relationship, it's also, it's a heart relationship, a spiritual relationship, and we also did it as a legal relationship. So it's important for people to realize while you and I are anchored in the very uh, important transfer of lineage, the people that I've learned from, other people that you've learned from and that come up in your work and your teaching. That's all really vital, but there's also a respect of having done this with a lot of thought, a lot of conversations, legal documentation, formality. We did it on all levels And I really want to support what you are going to do with it. You have the Nicole Morales influence in the curriculum that is something I celebrate so much. And I just so often tell people, well, go and take Nicole's class. It's worth flying to San Diego. Go, go, go.
Any last words you want to say before I turn off this recording?
Hmm. We have been midwives together for millennia, eternally. From the beginning of humanity, we have crossed paths. And you are going to be a midwife a lot longer than I am. And I feel the sense of a solid, grounded future of this work with you that is astonishing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I've been really lucky to have good mentors in my life for
When
this work.
someone develops a body of work, it's magical, it's immense, it's unusual to have someone take it on. And in my life with spinning babies, I've had you to take on the very unique midwifery pieces of resolving shoulder dystocia and breech basics, and Jen Walker to take on the spinning babies as a whole, as a that part. um, that's not a very good way to say it. So
No,
maybe
but you know
say
what?
that.
It's true, right?
I mean, the nuances in resolving shoulder dystocia and breech basics can only live with a very nuanced midwife, you know, and you are that person. And I saw that when I saw that in 2011 when we were at a conference together. And Spinning Babies lives on with a very nuanced person who understands the vision and the execution. And I saw that over her head in 2014. So the great gift of my life was not only to be able to comprehend and bring forth these unusual paradigm, a new way to look at birth that really hadn't been caught on to before, connecting dots that had not been connected in spatial ways on what's happening on the inside. And to have two people that I can pass that on to is so immense and unusual and such a gift, an unforeseen and beautiful gift. While I was busy trying to figure this all out and bring it forward, the already the two souls that had probably had an internal agreement, some kind of pre-existing agreement to take this forward, came into my life. And I was given that recognition when California midwives lost their midwifery heritage right, their human right to attend breech births. You asked me, but how can I become that knowledgeable in breech if it's not legal in my state? And I said, I don't know, but you are. And opportunities came to you outside of California and with doctors and really all around the globe and all through the country. Opportunities have come to you, and your great gifts as a very intuitive and very knowledgeable midwife brought that forward. You were just the one that would hold this. You were the one that could hold this. You had the pre-existing elements to become a cradle for this working and grow it and take it on.
Well, thank you so much, Gail. Um, I
Yes,
think that one of the reasons I feel like I was ready to take it on had to do with my exposure to traditional midwifery. Um,
mm,
so
mm.
thank you so much. I
You're
love you.
welcome. I love you too.